Good Blue, Bad Blue, we're back. It's been, man, I don't even know, a month maybe? I think it's been exactly a month.
While.
Yeah, I think it was like right around January 16th, and here we are, February 20th?
February 20th. Lots happened since
A lot has happened. Good Blue, Bad Blue. We talked about Carolina. We talked about Duke. Talked about the ACC. We'll hit on some national news. Mm-hmm. We'll go ahead and start off with Carolina, I suppose. Since last time we talked, they hit a slide. Pretty much lost almost every game besides these last two, really. Basically, last time we talked, they were, I think we talked right before they played Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And then they lose to Pittsburgh. And then they lose to Duke, beat Pittsburgh, lose to Clemson, and now they've beaten Syracuse and NC State. I mean, really, honestly, like, has your opinion of them changed at all since the last time we were here? Because they lost to Stanford, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh. But really, are any of those bad? Like, are they a worse team than we thought they were a month ago?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I still expected more. One thing that I was, worried about for them was their height issue.
Yeah.
And, physicality on the boards and getting rebounds and getting offensive rebounds and stopping the other team from getting offensive rebounds. And I mean, I don't think they have any really, really bad wins. They obviously don't have any real impressive wins on here. So, I mean, they're definitely hanging out on that fringe bubble. But, I mean, I think they're doing a lot with what they have.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at the team from last year and you look at the team from this year, and there are so many differences on the team that, you don't have Baycott for size. You don't have Cormac Ryan, out there on the wing. There's a number of things, but we'll get more into that.
Yeah, so I don't know if they are a worse team than they were a month ago. I think maybe we just thought that they would get better, and they definitely have not gotten better. But I don't know if they're any worse than we thought they were. I think, just from what Carolina does in the past, you always expect them to get better, and this team just has not gotten better. So that's been kind of a surprise. And really, the only bad loss really is the Stanford loss. And that's really, to me, if they don't make the tournament, it's because of that game. Because you're looking at them, they're 9-6 in the conference. They're probably going to win. Well, they should win four. If they should win 4 out of 5 to end the season.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. So if they do that, they're at 13 wins. And I said from the start, if they get to 14, they're probably in the tournament, in the NCAA tournament. So if they get to 13, they'll be one off. It'll be that Stanford game that you have to go back to and say what happened. But every team loses a game they shouldn't lose at some point. Every single team.
Stanford's kind of in the same situation you are. The record's not that dissimilar.
Yeah, no.
Their conference record's the same. So it's kind of one of those, it's a wash loss.
Yeah, Stanford. Stanford's actually better than we thought.
If you'd have lost to Miami or BC, I'd feel a whole lot different.
Or if they would have lost to NC State last night.
We didn't have to worry about that. That was actually a very impressive performance by your team. It really was.
As we were saying before, I kind of expected it. It's NC State. Carolina just owns them. You talk about something that's not a rivalry, that they try to make a rivalry. That is not a rivalry anymore.
Boring.
It's in my lifetime, I've never seen State really win. I've seen them win like maybe 10 times against Carolina. And that's, 30 years, 28 years of watching college basketball. It's not really a rivalry. I don't really know what to compare it to. I guess maybe, you could compare it to I just don't know. I don't know what other sport you could really, what other rivalry. Maybe Alabama, Auburn, and
Carolina Panthers and Seattle Seahawks. That's what this reminds me.
I don't know. Was that a rivalry at some point?
That's the whole point. I saw Carolina. I mean, I've watched that rivalry in NFL for a long time, and they wanted to call it the rivalry when Cam Newton and Russell were both there.
Oh yeah.
But I saw Carolina win twice.
Yeah.
Out of literally 10 times.
Yeah, it's
not a rivalry.
No.
And I understand the tradition behind North Carolina and the NC State. There is literally 50, 60 years of tradition. What are they, 20 miles? What, Raleigh and Chapel Hill?
They're about an hour.
About an hour apart?
Yeah.
It's not that far apart. So, I mean, there's always going to be that history there. But in men's basketball, I mean, you can just forget it.
Yeah, it's not a rivalry.
No, it's boring.
Yeah.
It is boring.
Yeah. And Carolina did exactly what they were supposed to do against them. State kept the first game close this year. Carolina just massacred them last night. It was a snow game, so pretty much only the people there were the students, which made it even more louder in there. And I tell you, the best part of that game was when Seth Trimble gave a stare down to Dontrez Styles, the former Carolina player that's now a turncoat. That's the best way to describe it, I think. It's okay if you transfer, but...
You know what? Yeah. This is all part of the transfer portal. Get over it. It wouldn't shock me one day if Duke and UNC swapped a player.
Well, and, I won't like that person. It'll be like when Brett Favre played for the Vikings. Not a fan.
Favre.
Yeah, Favre, yeah. Favre, yeah. Favre. That's what they called him in Something About Mary, so that's the only time I was ever a fan of him. Yeah. But what the hell was Brett Favre doing there? He was in town to play the Dolphins. He was in town.
He was in town to play the Dolphins.
Yeah. you gotta go watch that classic, man.
Great movie.
Yeah, I think Carolina, man. I think sadly, this team is probably exactly where they are supposed to be. I think maybe we had higher expectations because they are Carolina, but if you actually look at how they play, I think they are somewhere between fourth and they're probably the fifth best team in the conference, but. The shocking part is that really you expected the two teams in front of them, Wake Forest and SMU. SMU you did not expect to be that good.
No, they're a solid team.
So you really thought Carolina would be ahead of them. And then even Wake Forest, I'm not sure if you expected them to be 11-4 today. So I think really Carolina is exactly where they should be. Like I said, there's one bad loss against Stanford. Obviously the Duke game, I think that probably went about as expected.
That doesn't count this year.
I'm
talking about when it comes to evaluating the reality of your team going up against Duke, that doesn't really count for y'all because Duke is on another plane.
That game was over. What'd they call it? Technical foul. They had a technical foul in the first half.
I think the highest it got was 34. It averaged around 25, 27.
Well, I'm saying,
and they got it back to 17 because the scrubs were in.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it was over in the first half whenever they called the technical foul. It was like, okay, there's zero chance that anybody's going to let Carolina even come close in this game. But Carolina did sweep them last year, so you kind of knew that the beatdown at Durham was coming.
And Duke swept the year before, so it's just Duke. Duke swept 23, they swept 24.
And sadly,
we're going to get 25.
And sadly, that's how the NIL works right now. Just because people are moving around so much, nobody has a team anymore. It's just chaos. It's just like the NBA, and it's one reason why, again, I can't stand the NBA. And everybody laughs at me when I say I'm a Warriors fan, but I liked them. Because during that whole run, 7-year run, they pretty much kept the same players.
They drafted.
Well, they kept the same. You had the same 6 or 7 guys. Whereas it's like you look at the Lakers, LeBron wins one title, and then everybody's gone the next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I just don't see. It bothers me when the teams aren't the same. I want the teams to be the same. I want to see a team play together for a couple of years, but Carolina to me has not looked that bad. They beat Pittsburgh the other day. They did lose at Clemson, but again, I think that's
a tough loss. There's no shame in that loss.
I'm not sure that.
So did Duke.
I'm not sure that loss. Yeah, that loss is not as bad as it looks. Because also Clemson, another team that has never really beaten Carolina.
Yeah, but they also never claimed themselves to be your rival.
No, but I'm saying this is the first time ever where they're like, hey, we're the better team in this matchup. And, so I think they took it a little, and that's the same thing when they're playing Duke too. I think they think they're the better team.
They're the better team in Little John that one time. Yeah, they're not the better team.
So I think Clemson's kind of, just feeling it right now. But
I think they're underranked.
Yeah, I think Clemson is definitely a Sweet 16 team, 100% right now. Carolina's got 5 games left in the regular season. They play Virginia, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, and Duke.
I'm going to tell you why I actually believe in what this Carolina team is doing right now. They've done 2 things in these last few games that have really given them some big wins. And going and getting that Syracuse win was still a tough win on the road.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them credit for that. Number 1, you put Jalen Withers in the starting lineup. Now you're using your brain. And number 2, you're finally RJ Davis. You realize that the best player on the floor is actually Ian Jackson. He's the best player on your team. And now you're starting to run offense through him and starting to be the RJ Davis that I remember from 2022. in your Final Four to the national championship failure run. Yes, we remember. You're starting to kind of fill that back out. So believe it or not, the game in Chapel Hill that's coming up that everybody anticipates, I think is going to be a whole lot better than the game that happened in Durham. So if they keep doing that, I think North Carolina actually, this might surprise people if they can really keep their rhythm going. You have an outside shot at a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think you're any better than that. I think there's going to be a top 8 team out there that'll just remind you they're better. But I feel like that's a good goal for this year. I mean, you got a lot of analysts that don't even think you're going to get in. I think you will. I think your reputation won, and I think getting 4 out of these 5 games, winning an ACC tournament game or 2, can definitely get you in. But no, you're trending upward compared to where you were a month ago.
Yeah, and it's definitely some coaching adjustments. Like you said, putting Withers in there, you've needed the size all year. I mean, even when they tried to put Powell at the 4, doesn't really work because you're still small at the other 3 positions.
I knew you were in trouble when Ben Allen Lubin was trying to check Malawak head up. I was like, that's not going to go.
Yeah, but Ben Allen actually works best at center on this team, I feel like. And I think Withers works best as the 4. But what I liked last game against State is they put Powell in there at the 3, which is what they should have been. All year long, the problem's been the fact that you start 3 6-foot guards.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. They're probably maybe, 3 – maybe they're the 3 best players on the team. You can argue Ian Jackson.
Offensively, they're the best players on the team.
But basically they're the 3 guys that you want in there at all times. Trimble, Cadeau, and Davis. The problem is you can't start all 3 of those guys. And I don't know why they've kept trying it. Honestly, I feel like we're at the point where only one of them should be starting. I think the best lineup is only one of those guys starting, and it is RJ. It is RJ Davis, which is crazy for me to say because Elliot Cadeau is averaging 6 assists, but I think he should be put on the bench.
Seth Trimble's also doing some good. He's probably your best defender.
Seth Trimble on this team is the perfect 6th man, and everybody said that coming into the season, and it's unbelievable that he actually started. Not that I'm saying he shouldn't start. He's definitely capable of starting. But on this team, how this team is set up, Seth Trimble should be the 6th man. It's like when Manu Ginobili was with the Spurs. Mm-hmm. He was the 6th man with that team. When he was in the starting lineup, it just wasn't the same.
Chemistry makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really does.
And Trimble you need somebody to come off the bench and lead. He fits that. You need somebody that's going to come in with energy. He leads that. You need somebody you can bring in at just random times and change up the game. He's that.
Keep the same pace of the game going.
Yeah. You put him in the starting lineup, okay, he's not going to be your shooting guard because he's not a shooter. When you go in the 3-guard lineup, he can't really be your small forward because now he's given up 6 inches to most teams' small forward. So, and you don't really want him as your point guard because I think the other 2 guys are better point guards. So Trimble has to come off the bench with this team, and I think now Cadeau should come off the bench for Ian Jackson because Ian Jackson
can play defense.
Well, you put Ian Jackson at the 2 where he should.
Yeah.
The guy's going to drop 20 points. His defense is better than Cadeau. Jackson plays better defense than Cadeau. I don't know if his defense is good, but Jackson can drop 20 points if you put him at the 2.
Absolutely. And that's why if Hubert decides to be smart and keep doing that, they can make a small tournament run. They really can.
Yeah.
Because you know as well as I do, when you get into the conference tournaments and then finally the dance, the teams with size and defense are the ones that always go further.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't typically have those Alabamas of last year who averaged 90 to 100 a game.
Yeah, that don't happen very
well, what happened when UConn locked them down?
Yeah.
Made a big difference. So, I mean, those are the things that you really have to run with when you're playing, especially when – you got so many really just gigantic teams out there that they're very athletic.
I like that Hubert decided to full court press some of these last couple of games as well. That's when you're 4th best player. Well, I'm saying Powell is your 5th best player. When all 5 of your top players are perimeter players, dude, make the other team run as much as possible.
I don't want to make this sound like I'm totally insulting you, but The reason the Duke Carolina game wasn't 35 or 40 is because he started using the press.
Oh, 100%. He should have done that from the start.
Yes.
It was the only chance they had.
Yes, and I guarantee you, if he has any brain in his head, that's exactly how the game in Chapel Hill should go.
I think he should do it all game, every game, honestly.
You got the little speedies to do it with.
The only time he shouldn't do it is if only one of those 3 guards is out there. But if you had at least 2 of them out there, you just press the whole time. But the thing that's really killed Carolina this year, and maybe some Carolina fans don't want to admit it, the biggest problem is your point guard. And I use this because I'm not really sure who the point guard is. Sadly, I think it should be R.J. Davis. I don't know if he's really a passer. I don't know if he's really a game manager. But his size fits the point. And the problem is Elliot Cadeau, 6 assists a game. The dude averages over 3 turnovers a game. And I'm saying right now, Elliot Cadeau, if you put him on the court with some other former Carolina point guards, I think he barely cracks the top 10 of this century. In 25 years, Cadeau maybe cracks the top 10. And I think R.J. Davis, on the other hand, just let him run the point. I don't think he's going to be up there with Ty Lawson or, Raymond Felton.
Kendall Marshall.
Yeah, or Kendall Marshall. Those are the top 3. But he could be in that next category with Marcus Page, Joel Berry, Kobe White. Throwing R.J. Davis there.
Ooh.
Man, Kobe White only did it for 1 year, so I'm a little
that
lower.
That counts. No.
Yeah, but I'm a little no, but
and you kill it. Yeah. That counts, Kyrie.
1 year is way different, man. That's 1 year is. Kyrie wore the jersey for 3 games, by the way.
11.
Oh, whatever.
He still wore the jersey.
So I think Carolina really just needs to. I think they need to sit down and go, maybe we need a change in point guard, and that's why I think you put the lineup as Davis, Ian Jackson, Drake Powell with 2 big guys, Withers and whoever at center.
Lubin, because he's the only one that actually. He's not the only one. He just fights the hardest under the rim.
Well, he fits. I actually think Washington
State had nothing for him last night.
No,
he had a great game.
Yeah, he had 13 points in the second half. I think Washington, though, could fit a little better if you actually put him around a team where they're not all guards.
Yes.
Because I think what's killing him is he's out there with 4 guards most of the time, and he doesn't know what to do. And honestly, I don't think anybody knows what he's.
Whose fault is that?
Oh, that's the coach's fault.
Okay.
100%. So I think Washington could actually fit the lineup better if it was you get 1 guard with Jackson, Powell, and Withers, and then Washington. Because now Washington can have room to step out, take the jumper that he can actually make. He can make the 3. Now he'll have room because you only have 1 guard out there. Instead, you got 3 guards out there most of the time with him. So everybody's around the perimeter. So as soon as he catches the ball, somebody's there. So I think this team I don't think the coaches knew how to handle this team. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just don't get, what you thought you were going to get. I mean, also Cade Tyson, maybe he hasn't lived up to the billing either. But I still think Carolina's a tournament team. I think they can win. If they can win 4 out of 5 to end the season, if they can get 1 AC tournament for sure, they're in the.
Beat Duke, you're getting in.
I mean.
Oh, no. If they beat Duke, they're getting in.
Depends on what the other games do. There's always.
I gotta feel like okay, so let's actually run through their schedule because I feel like that'd be very. If I remember looking at it, you have remaining.
Yeah, Virginia
and you're at home.
Yeah, and Virginia sucks this year with what's his name as the coach.
Florida State is going to be a little bit of a rough test.
Well, what's his name wants 1 more big win.
Sure, he does.
Leonard Hamilton,
and God bless him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Miami is 6-20 coming to your house. You're going to Virginia Tech, an 11-15 team, and I think you need to get that win over Florida State. We're going to assume Duke wins just because that's a smart thing to do.
If you get the win over Florida State, if you can win all the non-Duke games. That Florida State game, though, is iffy. I don't care what anybody says. That game, I think those other 3 should be automatic.
Beating Duke's almost worth 2 or 3 of those losses, though.
Yeah, I think the other 3 games, though, are automatics, I think. Miami, Virginia Tech, Virginia. I think those are automatic wins.
Florida State and Duke are your toughest test.
Yeah, Florida State, man, I'm telling you, that's questionable because Leonard Hamilton wants 1 more big win.
Yeah.
And that's, you're
a 64.4% favorite in that game. That means nothing.
That's at Florida State where
Carolina's
always struggled. Everybody struggles down there, honestly. So overall, though, I think Carolina still makes a tournament. That's my prediction. I still
think
don't.
they will too.
I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people want to make it out to be. Sometimes I think people are just. You think Carolina should be a top 10 team, and it's kind of like Alabama in football this past year. Everybody was like, "Oh, they lost like 3 games. They suck." But I mean, at the end of the day, they were still a top 8 team
until ACC play. Who did they play outside of conference?
They played 7 of the top 25 teams. Yeah,
who's probably going to fall out of the top 25. We have no clue what happened to them. But they were still number 1 at that time, and they've been ranked all year.
Yeah,
Michigan State, who's great. Florida, who's great. Alabama, who's great. Who else?
Auburn.
Oh, you did play Auburn. I mean, you played, 3?
UCLA. They were ranked at the time.
So basically, you played almost the top 5. You have played the top 5 current rankings this year right now.
Yeah, Dayton was in the top 25.
Auburn, Florida, Duke,
Michigan State.
Michigan State's in the top 12.
Yeah.
But then Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah.
So, and there was or was not a game with Tennessee?
No.
Okay.
We played Auburn this year in that SEC challenge.
No, you played Alabama because Duke played Auburn.
Oh yeah,
we played Alabama outside.
We played Auburn in the.
That's actually your worst loss. I think it's your worst loss of the whole season. I don't know.
Yeah, really?
I think at Duke is way different than playing on a neutral court.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't even think the Auburn loss.
I don't think there's not a team in the country that's going to come in and win Duke this year because Auburn couldn't.
I think if you look at it now, I think the worst loss might be at Kansas because Carolina had the lead 3 minutes ago.
Oh, you're talking about because of how far they've fallen?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're looking at it right now, I think in the moment, I don't think that Auburn lost.
Well, Duke lost to them too, so I mean, something's just not connecting with Kansas.
Yeah, if anything, to me, the out of all those top teams that Carolina could have back would be Michigan State. I think should have been a win.
Well, Florida was actually.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Florida. I think if Carolina could have won those 2 games, which I feel like they should have won those 2 games.
Alabama torched you. They really. Clemson. I forgot about going to Clemson.
Yeah,
but that's going to Clemson.
Yeah,
that's different. Well, it's also at their house. The Alabama game was neutral court, right?
Alabama game was no, it was at Carolina.
Oh, they did come into Carolina. Oh, I guess that's right because Auburn went to Duke.
Yeah.
So
either way, we both think Carolina makes tournament. I think we both think Carolina's better than a lot of the haters are going to say. Let's switch it now to your guys. Y'all just recently lost a game.
We did. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and then you lost at Clemson, and then now you're about to go on the road in a non-conference game, which is weird.
It's not really on the road. It's in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I love how they want to spin that, but I'll be the first to admit.
It's a Duke home game.
Oh, it's Cameron North, baby.
Yeah,
Illinois is a solid team. I still think Duke wins by double digits.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say 10-14.
Yeah, there's 3.
They just run them over.
There's 3 teams I consider Madison Square Garden home. Duke, St. John's.
Oh, yeah.
And UConn.
Yeah.
So anytime they play there, that is not a neutral site. That's not a road game. But Duke's looking really good. They kind of been just running through the ACC, which the ACC is a lot weaker than we all thought. I think the impressive part is, though, really they just have not had a close game.
No, I mean they really. So the biggest thing I'm going to say is that this is a little bit of a fear factor to me. They played a very tough non-conference to start the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Lost to Kansas, lost to Kentucky, beat Auburn, beat Arizona, which apparently is back from the dead. They're a very good team again.
And they started the year as what? Top 10?
Arizona near that.
Yeah.
Them and Duke were close on the rankings. Yes, they are doing exactly what I expected. I think talent-wise in the ACC, it's not a debate. Cooper Flagg's the best player in the ACC. John Shire is the one I'm the most proud of because he has found a way to make this team work very well. It's been alternating Sion James and Tyrese Proctor at the point, throwing different packages at the other teams, running the offense through Cooper. Cooper, your unselfishness is the reason these games are getting dominant. In the very beginning of the season, he was trying to create the game too much. Now he's letting the game come to him, and he's making the smart decision. The smart decision might be to dish out to Knippel and Knippel into Malawak. I mean, they're playing way more unified basketball. The game with Clemson, it was irritating to me because they led for literally 75% of the game.
Yeah. I thought
they were. I mean, I was actually shocked that they really pulled away in the first half. I was like, either Duke is really this good or ACC is really down.
I think the ACC is really down.
The ACC is really down, but I think Clemson's about a top 12 team right now. I think they're built very well. They're very big and physical. Cooper really didn't have that good of a game there. I mean, he got hot at the end, but I also feel like the pressure of winning that many games in a row got to them. I feel like when they do get on a neutral court in the ACC, in the ACC tournament, I still think Duke's going to go all the way with it. I still think they're the better team. But the lack of being battle tested except by Clemson is what I hope is not their fatal flaw in March.
Yeah, and that's
it's an alarming thing, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you never really want to be too dominant. I mean, you at least want some close games. I mean, my biggest problem with Duke, they've looked really good. I think, they played at Wake Forest. They snuck out with a win, which honestly, to me, that might be the most impressive win they've had in conference play.
So, yeah.
Losing at Clemson was just one of those games. You're always going to have a slip up, and like I said, I think Clemson at this point in time think they're the best team in the ACC. So,
okay.
They're playing with that confidence that they've never had before. But to me, the biggest problem with Duke, and I've said this before, I think I said it on our last show, it's still just the Cooper Flagg team. I mean, he dominates everything, which is great because he is the best player on the team. But man, at some point, there's going to come a time where I'm telling you, somebody's going to shut him down and not let him do anything. And then it's going to be who's going to step up because you only got two other guys in double figures. And you don't really have anybody else really close to double figures. So it's, to me, none of those other guys, Knipple, yeah, he's proven that maybe he can step up. Proctor's just kind of consistent. But if you need a fourth guy.
Isaiah Evans.
I mean, averaging 6 points.
Malawak could be that guy who can figure out how to play bigger than he actually is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's...
Mason Gillis, tons of experience, leadership.
4 points.
Malik Brown, big-time defensive player.
Yeah, I mean, on the defensive end,
defense is what's going to win. Okay,
I agree.
Let me tell you this. If Duke goes to the Final Four and somehow snaps this off, it's because they're going to hold their opponents to 60 points a game or less. That is how it'll happen. It is not going to happen when they get in a run and gun thing. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, if they're getting a game with Alabama and I see the score is 75-75, I'm very afraid. Duke loses. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Duke loses. They are going to have to play that nitty-gritty, tough defense. And as much as I respect your comment about Clemson being the best team in the ACC, if only we could play
I said that's how they
7-game schedule.
I don't think you were listening to the whole comment. I said that's how they feel. I didn't say that. I didn't say that's how I feel.
Oh, okay.
I said that's how they feel.
And good for them because they are a very good team, and I feel like they could. I actually think Clemson is one of those teams that could get to the Final Four.
Yeah, I do too. And
they're built for it.
They were a game away last year. People forget that they were in the Elite 8 team last year, and they
lost to a great team.
Yeah, and what they returned 3 starters, and they got 2 transfers in that I think. Big. Yeah, I mean, they're really a solid, really great team. Actually,
I think they are hands down the one team in the ACC that is actually built to beat Duke. I don't think they're better than Duke. I think they're the one that is built to beat Duke. Even as good as Louisville and Wake Forest and those teams are coming up, they're not built to beat a team like Duke. Clemson is.
Yeah, Clemson's built to win because they know what they have, and that helps. It helps when you just fit people into a system, and that's exactly what they did. They weren't trying to build around a certain player. They just tried to fit into their system. But I think if Duke makes the Final Four, I think if they end up making a run, it's going to be because somebody comes up and pulls a Grayson Allen where they come out of nowhere and have 2 or 3 great games. And I don't know who that is, but I'm telling you, that's what it's going to come down to me. Yeah, they're going to win by low-scoring games in the tournament.
They're going to have to.
I agree with you there. But there's going to be at least one game where it's going to have to be a Caleb Foster or a Gillis.
Is Caleb Foster still on the team?
Yeah, he averages 5 points. He's down there with everybody else.
It's amazing considering how good he actually is.
But that's what I'm saying. Where is the guy? Like at least the one good thing about Carolina is at least they've had multiple guys on that team that have proven that they can make 20 or 25 points. Duke, really, outside of Flagg and Knipple, I'm not sure anybody on that team has proven anything to me about being a
Isaiah
star
Evans
player.
has a trigger three that's lethal when it's on. But I'm going to maintain what I said.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to their bigs, blocking shots down low, getting the rebounds, cutting off the passing lanes, everybody playing good defense. I'm not going to shy away from that. That's how it's going to happen.
Oh, defense is going to have to work for them, but it does work for them because they're huge. So really, they can apply pressure all over the place.
I think that they have the ability to beat any team in the country. They've already proven it. Okay, albeit it was in Cameron. They still beat them. And I think the biggest thing is if they can just maintain, wearing teams out on the glass, on the boards, really making them use the whole shot clock, put up bad shots. That's how they're going to win. I don't think it's going to be Cooper Flagg throwing up 40 in a game.
I think they're like Flagg's not going to win any. He might win the first round game, but there's going to be no other game in the tournament where he wins by going for a lot. I think in the first round he might put up a lot, but I think after that you might see 25 out.
I think it's going to be the defense and the shooters.
Yeah, I think they're a mixture between two teams. They're a mixture between the Duke team that won in 2010.
Good comparison.
And then they're also, you can kind of mix in a little bit of how UConn was the last 2 years, where they were just huge. They were just like, yeah, we're huge and we're playing good defense and we're bullying people.
Duke is
the problem is that those two UConn teams really had a great offense also.
They did. And Duke has capability to have great offense. They do have a lot of weapons, but they are the biggest team in the country.
Yeah.
Their shortest starter is 6'5".
Yeah.
That's their shortest.
Yeah.
And all the way up to Malawak at 7'2".
Yeah, it's just going to be, to me, it's going to be what happens under pressure. Can a fourth guy step up? And also, Flagg has struggled a little bit. All three losses, y'all could have won if he.
Yeah, they could be.
If he doesn't make a couple of mistakes down the stretch in all three of those games. So, what happens with that pressure? But
hopefully he learns from it. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. They're still young guys, which does make me nervous when you get down. Where's the Final Four this year? San Antonio? It's in San Antonio. So when we get to San Antonio, dealing with juniors and seniors that have great size and athleticism, that's what's going to stop Duke.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
A team like Auburn, a team like Florida. Okay, I mean, even a team like Michigan State.
Yeah.
And there's a number of teams out there, but when it comes to ACC play, no question, there's not much to say there. I see them completely running out their schedule.
Yeah. I think, let's look at their schedule. So they got they got Illinois
at Duke.
Yeah. Yeah, we both agree. We think they win.
I'd say 10 to 12. This Illinois team is still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they've been ranked pretty much the whole year until lately.
Yeah, I think between 10 and 15. And then they play
at
Miami, which is
a win.
Yeah, and then they play Florida State, but it's at Duke, so that should be a win.
Duke, yeah.
Wake Forest going to Duke. I just don't believe in them really. That could be a slip up maybe, but I don't really see it. And then they go to Carolina. So really, there is a world where Duke might not lose again, but man, that's
makes it hard.
At some point, you don't want to go into the tournament.
No.
Well,
that's what I'm hoping the Clemson loss is.
Yeah. Well, that was early.
That's their only loss in 2025.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's tough, man. That's a lot of wins in a row. But yeah, I think.
But that's what they've been dealt with, and they're gonna have to deal with it. If John Shire feels like but they're going for a 1 seed too, and getting a 1 seed makes a difference.
Oh yeah, it matters. Yeah,
sure,
it matters. Yeah, I think. Especially
when you get a team like Houston as a 2 seed. That's a big one.
Yeah. So I think we both kind of agree that Duke probably wins the rest of their games. Honestly, to me, the only questionable one might be Wake Forest, but it's, Cooper Flagg's last home game, so I doubt that they lose that game. So really,
it's a lot of players on that team's last home game.
Yeah.
Because you feel like there's going to be some transfers.
They probably have a whole new team next year. Honestly.
You got the boozers coming in. That's what I know.
Yeah, they probably have a whole new team. Yeah, well, one's really good. The other one I think is just way overrated.
Package deal.
Yeah, yeah. Let's look at the ACC as a whole here. You got Duke at first, Louisville and Clemson are right behind. BC, Miami bring up the rear. Is there anybody I mean, what team has surprised you the most this year? And what team do you think? Give me a good team surprising. You think who's a team that you think has just been fake all year, and here down the stretch we'll see the real. You see what I'm saying?
In a good way or a bad way?
Just like a bad way. Like,
okay.
Tell me like SMU. SMU is way better than we thought, but I think they might only finish with 12 wins.
Well, my biggest surprise is Louisville.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No question.
But that goes into
nobody's surprised about Duke or Clemson or any of that. They all knew what they were getting.
And that goes into the fact that when you have a whole new team, you know.
The last 2 seasons, the last 2 seasons, Louisville had a total of what? 12 wins in 2 seasons?
Yeah, but again, a whole new team and a new coach. Hey. Yeah, you might as well just put a different jersey on them.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
They needed that. They needed the total college basketball team makeover. So they are definitely my pick for good. The team that has shocked me the most, NC State.
Oh, how bad they are?
Yeah.
Really?
No. Absolutely. I mean, when you have the magical run that they had last year and you have the transfer portal and you have Kevin Keats, which, by the way, nice job stealing more money out of the Raleigh athletic department.
Yeah.
A Final Four run is just, escrow them into a 38% interest rate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But no, I still thought that when I watched the game last night, I was like, NC State's not in it. They're not playing for their coach. I mean, they just look awful.
Oh, they suck, man.
Oh, yeah. And then last year, they were the tournament darlings.
Yeah, okay.
I thought they still had some returning players from that team.
Yeah, they were good for 9 games.
I didn't think they would do what they did again last year, but I didn't think they'd be 3-12 and then 11-15.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, 10 and 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I think.
Is that what they are?
Yeah.
10 and 16. You're always looking at the wrong team.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Louisville, the team that surprised me the most is SMU, but I still feel like they fall apart here down the stretch.
And the team that's going to show their true colors, as in not being as good as we think they are.
Pittsburgh.
I was going to say SMU.
Yeah, SMU too. Yeah, we both agree. SMU is just not. It's great what they're doing, but I still don't.
Yeah, they're 20-6 with 11-4. They're probably this is a team that could be a 5 seed in the tourney, and then just get smoked by a 12.
Yeah, and
that would not shock me.
And I still think ACC does get 5 teams in.
Oh, I think so. Well, I think they get 6. I think y'all are going.
Oh, see,
I do think y'all are going.
See, I think we go, but SMU doesn't go.
SMU's only lost 6 games the whole season.
Yeah.
Do you think they get snubbed potentially?
Yeah, because I think I mean, look at their schedule. They're going to lose.
Let's look at their schedule.
They're going to lose to Clemson.
I think so. I agree with that.
All right. They probably beat California. All right.
On paper.
They probably lose to Stanford.
Is it in Stanford?
Yeah.
There's always that chance.
They might beat Syracuse. And then they're going to lose. Okay, they're going to lose to Florida State.
If they lose to Syracuse, if they lose any of those games, you actually plead a case. The only one that I'm going to give you a little bit credit for is the Stanford game.
But here's the problem. Here's the real problem. They've lost 6 games. All right. Here's the problem. I'm going to name off some teams that they've beaten, and you just tell me what you think. Okay, ready?
The teams that they have beaten.
Yeah. Some non-conference teams.
Okay.
All right. Tarleton State.
Obviously, who cares?
Okay. Prairie View.
No one cares.
California Baptist.
Didn't know they existed.
Alabama State.
Yeah, I was going to say you better add the state to that.
Yeah, Longwood.
Where are they from?
Yeah. So and then the conference games. So
what are their 4 conference losses? Real quick, then
Duke,
of course.
North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina. We beat them. We smashed them. Only ended up winning by 15, but I felt like it was a lot more than that. Who's the other 2 losses? Wake Forest.
Okay.
That's what's that? 3?
That's 3.
I'm missing one somewhere. Where's the other one? Are you sure they lost 4?
It says
Louisville.
Okay, so they don't have any donkey losses. I mean, believe it, their worst loss is y'all.
Yeah, but the ACC is weak. You got to look at their non-conference schedule. They didn't play nobody.
You plead a case. We'll see if they get left out on selection.
Here's their two non-conference losses, and these are the only 2 teams. They played 1 team that is worth a dang outside of conference. They beat Washington State. All right.
Okay.
Here's their 2 losses though: Butler and Mississippi State.
Isn't Mississippi State ranked, or are they bad? Or that's Ole Miss that's good?
Ole Miss is
Ole
good.
Miss is good. That's correct.
So they played 3 semi.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Saturday's their chance to get themselves.
If they win that game
there,
they win that game there.
I agree.
And then if they lose that game,
unless they win that and lose to Syracuse,
I'm telling you right now, SMU's in the same boat as Carolina. SMU can lose that. They have to lose that Clemson game. They got to win the rest to make the tournament. And I just don't see that happening because I think they lose another one. I think they lose last game. I think they lose last game of the year to Florida State.
That's very possible. I mean,
Leonard Hamilton's
there's nothing to play for.
Well, he's going to go out with a win.
Go out with a win.
So let's move on. All right. So we think that they get. Let's move on to the national scene here.
Love the national scene.
All right, let's move on to the national scene. Let's just go ahead and predict it, man. Let's just go ahead and predict our Final Four.
I love it.
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Wait, I went first last time.
Right.
It's your turn.
All right, I'll go first. All right.
We already know Duke's going to lose to a 16 seed in your bracket, so we know they won't be.
So I'm going to start off here with 2 easy picks. Auburn and Alabama, because I've said from day one that they were probably the 2 best teams.
I don't hate that.
All right, so you don't hate that.
No.
All right, next up. Man, next up's tough, dude. It's tough. There's a lot of teams out here that you could pick from.
I agree.
There's a lot of teams, and I think my next 2 picks are kind of surprising. I think maybe not that surprising. Houston, I'm gonna throw Houston in there.
The way they play defense, I mean, it's not a bad move.
Yeah,
they have a sour taste in their mouth from last year's tourney.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I just feel like they're playing better offense now too to mix with their defense. And I think my last team. This is a shocker, but I'm going to go with Michigan. I'm going to go with Michigan State.
I thought you said it was a shocker.
Well, I mean, some people might say it is because they haven't been in a while. But that's my Final Four, man. I got Auburn, Alabama, Houston, and the Spartans.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Don't bet against Tom Izzo.
Who wins it?
Who wins it?
Please tell me we're going to have a rivalry for the national.
Well, I got to go with the football school as the win. I got to go with the football school.
Going Alabama?
No, Auburn.
Oh, Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Alabama football school. Alabama's a basketball school.
I like that.
What's his name? Nick Saban retired, so Alabama's a basketball school now. Auburn,
Nate Oates has the best job in college basketball.
Auburn, though, is definitely still a football school, and I think they pull out the title, man. I'm not sure I've ever seen their football team win a title, but their basketball team's about to.
Who, Auburn?
Yeah.
You don't remember Cam Newton?
I kind of zoned that one out. Not a
Love
fan.
that. I know that. Me neither.
Yeah. Ever since he got kicked out of Florida for stealing, I'm not a fan.
I have, in my opinion, a unique Final Four.
All right, and unique.
There's only one team in it from last time.
Okay. Do I got any of the same ones I just named?
What's that? Are any of them the same as what you named?
Yeah.
One.
Okay. All right.
One.
I like it. I love it.
You already know where I'm going.
Yeah. Let's see here. You're starting with Duke. All right.
And it's not just because I'm a fan, because I genuinely believe they have winning the whole thing. Who knows? The bracket has to play out. Okay. Getting to San Antonio? Yeah, I really do. I'm absolutely. Last year I gave them no shot. This year I'm giving them all the shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Because they're playing great. They've surprised me like nobody's business. They're going to shock the world. St. John's is a good team.
I mean, they're top 10.
Yes.
And they got the best coach. They got the best coach.
They are ready to. Well, no, the best coach is actually on the next team I'm going to mention.
Okay, so the next one's UConn?
No.
Oh.
Michigan State.
Oh, yeah, the same team I picked. Okay,
I said we had one alike.
Man, I think there's like 5 best coaches right now.
Right now we have Duke, we have St. John's, we have Michigan State,
right.
And Clemson.
And Clemson, really? You think the crappy ACC gets 2 teams, you think?
I think the 2 best teams in the ACC can absolutely compete on the national level. I think that Clemson, as big as they are, the experience of getting to the Elite Eight last year, Shefflin is, I mean, who really wants to defend that guy? That guy is a nightmare.
He is your typical college player now, and the fact that he is phenomenal, under the radar, and yet he will never, ever, ever, ever touch the NBA waters.
It's okay. We're not playing. We're playing.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But 30 years ago, a guy like him,
he's going to make a good living overseas and make a lot of money playing basketball.
30 years ago, the NBA would have just been like, yeah, we're taking him.
He's our guy. Let's go.
So anyways, your Final Four, I kind of dig it.
With Clemson, you have a very solid defensive game.
Yeah.
They play great defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have athletic guards. They can shoot, and they can bully you down low. They are built to go far. It's not really that big of a mystery why they ran to the Elite Eight last year with a decent shot of the Final Four. That Alabama team was I think to deal with, and
I think too they got better by subtraction. Who's the guy that they lost? Who did Clemson lose? What was that guy that they had last year?
Clemson?
Yeah.
Like who they have that they lost?
Yeah. Who was that guy that they had last year?
Oh, okay.
He kept fouling out every game.
Oh, the big white guy.
Yeah.
PJ.
Yeah, PJ Hall. Yeah. I think they're a lot better without him
because you're letting Shefflin have more of a game, or Shefflin, whatever you say his name.
Because you don't build your strategy around a guy that gets 4 fouls at 8 minutes.
Yep.
No, I like the Clemson pick. The St. John's pick, I actually love because Rick Pitino has one more really good run in him, and I've been waiting for it to happen.
Talented.
Me, personally, I was kind of hoping he would just take the Kentucky job and just lead them to another title, even though I hate Kentucky. But
yeah,
I think it would have been awesome for Pitino. Michigan State, I'm glad we agree on that because Tom Izzo, I honestly do feel like Tom Izzo is the best coach. Like I say,
currently,
yes, I say that there's like 4 or 5 best coaches, but when it comes down to it, I'm giving the title to Tom Izzo. I think the other ones in that category are Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley.
Sure.
I think that's probably it.
Bill Self?
Yeah, Bill Self. Yeah, you can throw him up there. So that's probably the 4, maybe. I think if you want to throw a 5th in there.
His team's in the blender right now, but I still give Bill Self credit.
Yeah. So I think that's – and then Mark Few. You can throw Mark Few in there.
Yeah.
So I think that's your top 5. But Izzo, I think he never has the players that those guys have. Which Rick Pitino doesn't either, which is what makes him so great. Although Dan Hurley doesn't either. There's really something about not having great players because
they can just believe in you and follow what you tell them.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I swear Dan Hurley runs a cult up there because those guys, I think they would drink the Kool-Aid. If they went out on a field and Hurley was like, "Hey guys, here's some Kool-Aid." I think they would.
Put it this way: I've been in sales for 20 years as a profession.
Yeah.
Okay. The guys who follow the process, listen to their coaching, listen to their managers, they always have a long, successful careers. The ones that try to do it their way because somebody told them they were good and, hey, you sounded amazing when you were presenting that product, they always fail and they always go find a new career.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you take the average Joes. It works like that in college. In NBA, it's different. In NBA, it truly is a talent game. But in college, it is a system game. And that's why I don't totally hate your take on Cooper Flagg and my boys, because there's definitely some truth to it, to where the youth and inexperience can bite them.
I mean,
there's also youth and inexperience in John Shire, too.
Yeah. Well, there's only, in my lifetime at least,
yeah,
there's only been one time where one player carried his team to a title. Well, 2. There's been 2. But only one time was it a freshman.
Anthony Davis.
I don't think he carried. No, I think he got way over. That team was great. No,
it was great, and you're right.
There's been 2 times in my lifetime where one player won. One was Kemba Walker, but he was experienced.
I'll name another one with you.
The other one was Carmelo Anthony.
Then can I throw a third one at you, see what you think?
Yeah.
Emeka Okafor for UConn.
Again, great team. They had Ben Gordon. Was a lottery pick, multiple time All-Star. Yeah. That's not. I don't. Emeka Okafor was great, but honestly, what Sean May did the very next year was way more impressive than what Emeka Okafor did. Just saying.
Win every buffet eating contest from there to
Sean May had multiple 2020 games on the way to the title.
20 shrimp and 20 Buffalo wins. Yeah, okay.
He really wasn't fat till the NBA when he got paid.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
So you got Duke winning, I presume, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I say Duke. Well, we don't know how it'll bracket out, but I think you could have a Duke and St. John's national title game.
Yeah.
Because and here's why. Because number one, I have no problem admitting when my team gets grace. I think they'll get a very fair bracket.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
They usually
typically do.
Yeah, they usually do,
and I don't hate it. I feel like the SEC is going to snipe each other.
Man,
and they're going to be aimed for and targeted.
I picked two SEC teams to make the Final Four, and I think those might be the only 2 that make it past the first weekend.
So you think Florida could get knocked out?
I was about to get there. Neither one of us picked Florida, who's the only other team receiving first place votes.
Yeah.
So let's pick a team in the top 10 that we have the least amount of faith in. It's what we've been doing the last couple episodes. A team in the top 10 who's the worst team in the top 10? I'll let you go first.
I'm not going to say number 10 because they're a Final Four pick.
Yeah, you picked them. Yeah, you can't pick them. Yeah, you can't pick them.
I still think it's Houston.
You think Houston's the worst?
I think Houston's the worst. I still think.
Hey, my Final Four pick, man.
I know. And I didn't hate that because this is what makes the show great, makes it fun.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're not going to be battle tested enough. Like, I think them and Duke and St. John's, really. I mean, St. John's is the best team in their conference.
The Big East?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
which I think might actually be the best conference, but that's just my opinion.
That's okay. Okay, if I take Houston out, I would say Tennessee. I would think that Tennessee would be the weakest team.
Yeah, and I think that's my pick as well. I think Tennessee, because I actually think Florida is a good team. I think Florida's problem is I don't think Florida can beat any of the other top teams. I think Florida gets to the Elite Eight easily and then just loses to whoever they play.
Just gets crushed.
It doesn't matter if they're playing another top 10 team in the Elite Eight, they're losing.
So like kind of to prove my point. You get St. John's in there at a 2 or a 3 seed, and they get in Florida's bracket.
They're beating Florida. Yeah.
I could absolutely see that. That's kind of where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of banking on Michigan State being in the bracket, so that's how Michigan State.
I could see Michigan State taking down Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Tennessee though is the worst out of the top 10. I think Tennessee. It would not surprise me if they lose first round to like a 15 or 14 or whatever. Tennessee just has not proven. Never at any point this year have I said Tennessee's a really good team. So. Yeah, Tennessee's my word. Now let's go teams ranked 11 and below.
All right.
Other than teams that were like, I'm not going to pick Michigan State because I already picked them.
I'm not going to pick Clemson.
Yeah. I'll go first this time. A team outside the top 10 that could surprise, and I actually cannot believe that I'm saying this.
Oh, boy.
Because I don't think they're really a surprise. Although the way they're playing.
I bet I know.
Oh, yeah. Who?
Kentucky?
No.
Okay.
No. You got it. You got the initials right, though.
KU?
Yeah. I think Kansas can still make the top 25. Or can still make the Final Four. I think Kansas can still make the Final Four. I don't know what their problem is right now. I have no idea. Zero idea. At the same time, they could lose first round. But I think...
Is Hunter Dickinson that hard to play with?
Oh, he sucks. First of all, he's not even...
But is he a bad teammate?
That's
what I'm wondering.
No, I think so, yeah. Yeah. I will say he had the best... commitment video ever. But other than that, I think he's overrated. I think he is selfish.
Vastly.
I think the ball has to be in his hands. But I'm saying all this in the fact that come April 1st or whatever, it's not going to surprise me at all when they're in the Final Four because Bill Self is great.
Because Zeke Mayo shot him into the Final Four. That's why.
And they still got a great point guard.
Okay.
Like I'm telling you right now, Kansas is my pick out of all, like, the lower teams, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So, yeah, I still believe in Kansas. Because Devin Harris, is a great point guard. And most of the time you win with great point guards. KJ Adams, great player. Like you said, Zeke Mayo, going to be a lottery pick. Team has pieces, man. And Bill Self is too good of a coach to not let the pieces at some point not come together. And... at the same time, maybe Bill Self has just been waiting for March. Maybe he's just like, you know what? We're just chilling. So, that's out of all like the lower teams. That's my pick, man. I don't know. Who do you got? Do you got anybody outside the top 10?
Yes.
All right.
It's a team I believed in all season. They've had a couple of hiccups here lately, but one of the teams they lost to is actually kind of hot right now, making a run. It's kind of weird. I got Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
I got Arizona.
They're coming together.
Caleb Love is figuring out how to not shoot them out of a game, be more of a point guard, be more of a game manager. I love that term because, you nailed that for RJ Davis earlier. I forgot to tell you. He's learning how to be more of a game manager and let the game come to him. He was the absolute poster child. Like, he is the reason. He is solely the reason Clemson went to the Elite Eight last year. He shot that team clean out of the game and with 10 minutes left to go in the game.
Well, he's finally the actual point guard because even last year I don't think he was like their Like they kind of had.
Yeah, but he shot 25 shots a game himself.
Yeah, because he was the shooting guard. He was getting paid to shoot. This year, he's the point guard. So, yeah, I think that Arizona is actually a really good team, and I think that's a really good pick because I think they also have a really good coach who has great assistant coaches. I think he's filled that team with tough players, experienced players. And, yeah, I think they finally got Caleb Love, who, coming out of high school, Caleb Love was a big deal. And I think they're finally figuring out what he is, and that's a point guard. He's actually a point guard, which is crazy.
He's a very talented player. He's a very, very good player.
He's the most surprising player that I've ever seen last throughout all of college.
Sure.
Like, never have I ever seen a player as talented as him not leave at some point, even if it's just going undrafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually players of his caliber will leave at some point, just to leave. But Arizona's a great pick. I think Arizona, like I said, I think they started off top 10 or top 15. Great coach. Yeah. You know, they were there last year. They were Sweet 16, so they were close. I think overall, we got some good picks. We're disagreeing on a lot. We're agreeing on a little.
My Final Four is a little unconventional, but I can see some of these things happening.
Yeah, I think my mind's just set up on the two best, Alabama and Auburn. I think it's I mean, I hate watching them play in football, but I don't mind watching them play in basketball. Last question before we go. Do we think UConn has any chance at the three-peat?
Absolutely zero.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's over. It's done.
Man, that's, I kind of wanted to see it.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I feel about that the same way I kind of felt about Kansas City's. It's like it would have been cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not pulling for it. But I wasn't really pulling for the Eagles either, so I don't really know what to say there.
Yeah, I was really pulling for the Chiefs to beat the Eagles.
I would. Okay, I'll say this right now. If it should happen, and I will say he's the greatest coach of all time. All time.
I think this would be way more impressive than any other college championship
Never
run.
seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's way. If he gets 3 in a row now in today's world, way more impressive than UCLA winning 29 in a row or whatever it was that they won when basketball didn't matter.
I'll give them a 1% legitimate chance. I mean,
oh yeah, I think. I'll tell you what, if they just make the Final Four, it would be incredible. But I will say this.
If they make it out of the first weekend, it's incredible.
I'll say this though, man, don't count them out. Like it would not. I give them better than a 1%. I'm giving them like a. I still think they got like a 15% chance
to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
It'd be the greatest story ever told.
Yeah,
it really would.
Dan Hurley, though, I think he might kill those kids if they don't win.
I've seen 3 repeats in my entire life. Never seen a 3-peat. Not old enough.
Never even seen. I mean, did we ever get close?
Well, UCLA is the only one that's ever had.
Well, I'm saying like in the 2 that you've seen, where they weren't even close.
No, Duke repeated. Absolutely got absolutely stonewalled. In 1993, Florida did their repeat. And in 2009, they just had nothing. Everybody got drafted and went to the.
It was in 2008.
Oh, you're right. Because it was 06 and 07. You're right. Forgive me. Yes, 08. They didn't have the horses.
I think they missed the tournament, didn't they?
They possibly did.
Yeah.
And then UConn at this exact point is not even ranked.
Yeah, receiving votes though.
They are receiving votes. I'm obviously not gonna rule any team out. I mean, anything can happen, but at the same time, like, how did you get to the receiving votes category on February 20th? Like, we're not in November and December anymore. We're what are we 70% through the season?
Oh, probably 85.
A little further than that now.
Yeah, 90. I mean,
we have 5 games, and then conference, and then the big boy starts.
I think, I think UConn. Yeah, I don't know. Don't be surprised if when I fill out a bracket, if I put them in the Final Four.
Well, I mean, I guarantee you never picked me. You never would have thought I'd pick St. John's and Clemson.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I can already tell you right now, when I fill out a bracket this year, it's just going to be chaos. But talking on the show, I'm telling you what I'm really doing.
Okay, so I'm looking really forward to this year.
Yeah.
Because you and I just both knew I mean, you didn't want to admit it because you're such a Heels fan, and they were a 1 seed last year, which I respect that. But we all knew where UConn was going with this. I kept telling my wife,
Well,
I'm like,
I mean, even on
this is fun to watch, but there's just nothing to see because she's like, UConn's going to win it.
Yeah, even on
this year,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, even on the show last year, we pretty much said UConn and Purdue. It just wasn't until the bracket when I was like, oh, yeah, Carolina might win.
Vegas will probably say Auburn's the favorite, and they should. But, I mean, Auburn or Duke, one of them will definitely be the favorite. Probably Auburn. But
Alabama.
But there's I don't think Auburn's that good. I mean, they're obviously very good, but I mean, they're like not one of the better 1 seeds I've ever seen.
No, yeah, I mean, none of these.
They wouldn't have beat UConn last year. None of these teams would have.
No, I'm not even sure any of these teams beat Purdue last year.
You know what? That's a strong statement. It's very true.
That Purdue team
was a national champion in most other years.
Yeah, I'm going to say
be a national champion this year.
I lost 25 years. They're probably one of the top 5 teams that lost the title.
Yeah,
that lost the title. Yeah, I mean, I think the number 1 team would be Gonzaga that lost to Baylor.
What about Gonzaga that lost to y'all?
I don't think that team was as good. No.
Okay.
I mean,
what about the Wisconsin team that lost to Duke?
They weren't that good. I mean, the best team that year was Kentucky.
That's true.
Yeah, I really don't know.
You know what? They might. You know
the Memphis team. The Memphis team.
How far back are we going?
This century.
Okay,
the Memphis team.
The '99 Duke obviously.
Yeah, because there was like a lot better. You could get a lot better. Like Kentucky. What was it? Kentucky in '97 was probably
96
when they lost.
No, 97's when they lost.
Exactly.
That's right. Very good.
I think.
Best team.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Memphis that lost to Memphis.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Illinois that lost to Carolina.
Yeah, that was a very good team.
Either way,
the Kansas team that lost to Syracuse.
Yeah.
On 3.
Yeah, I think
either way, we could go on.
Exactly.
We could talk college basketball for 6 hours.
Exactly. But instead, we're done. Good blue, bad blue. It's been fun. Brandon, last words?
I don't have any. The dance is coming. I'm ready. We'll see what happens. We're going to do a bracket show, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do that one.
That's close.
Yeah, we'll do that one on like that Monday or something. Make sure we get it done. So, yeah, we'll check y'all later.
Sayonara. Until the next time. It'll be soon.